Hello everyone, this is Gayle, and today I'm going to make a little bit more sophisticated retro cane, and I say that in hopes that it will turn out to be a little bit the way I want it to be. I've made these canes before, and I decided I would do one that was a little bit more detailed, and by detailed I mean to have more of the little squares or circles or whatever in there. So what I did is I picked out, and I don't think I brought my piece of paper in here. I had a piece of paper where I know I wanted turquoise and I wanted purple, and I thought, okay, now how can I put these into a cane and get it to turn out so that it graduates from purple to turquoise. So I did this is Primo purple, but it was a little bit too dark, so I added some white to this. This is turquoise, just the way it comes out of the package. And this in the center is cobalt blue, and again I added a little bit of white to it because the cobalt blue was really strong. Then what I did is I took equal parts of blue and turquoise and came up with this color, and then equal parts of blue and purple and came up with this color. So now it kind of graduates. So hopefully this is going to turn out the way I would like it to. I'm going to use my Makin's extruder. And before I even get started, let me bring my little handle out. I just enjoy this. It makes it easier to hold. And I'm going to use it's not the teeny tiny one, but the almost next to the, very close to being the tiniest. I think it's like 2 millimeters or 2.5 millimeters. I'm going to use that die. Let me go ahead and put that in here so I'll know it's ready. And I'm going to wind down my extruder. And this is going to be a pretty long cane, so I'm hoping I can get it all in here. We'll see. And I have this cutter. Let me see if I can figure out. It's about a 3/4 inch cutter that I keep with my extruder, because these, once you put them together and then roll them so they're together, it's just the perfect size for your machine. But I'm going to start with white. I also rolled out 6 white and 5 black. So I'm going to start with white, and I'm going to start with my purple, and I'm going to put 2 of my purples. Then I'm going to put a black, and then the other 2 purples. Now I learned this technique a long time ago, and I believe it was Bettina Welker that did this. I'm not really sure, but I think it was. So this is not my original idea. This kind of came from Bettina. So now I've got white, 2 of my end colors, black, 2 of the end colors, and a white. Well, then I'm going to go to the next color and do the same thing. Put 2, and then a black, and 2. Try to keep them as straight as you can, and a white. And you just do this all the way down your palette. And you can use any colors you want. I just wanted some purple and turquoise, and just threw the blue in the middle to make it an easier transition. I'm almost there. Just remember, two and then a white, two and then a black, and then you go to your next color. And you start and end with your white. There you go. Now I'm going to just push it together a little bit to make sure it sticks, and then I'm just going to roll it until it's small enough to go into my extruder. And you can tell the length it is now is just right, so I don't know, I might have to come out just a little more. Let me see if this will go in. And I do believe trying to remember whether we put the black or the white. I think we put the purple end in first. Let me get my acrylic block out. There you go. It's much more even now. And it's going, but not very easily, because that's a lot of clay to move back here to the end. So I'm just going to hope this is going to work. And then I'm just going to extrude. And we'll see what happens, what comes out. Of course, it's going to start with white, because white was the first color that went into the extruder. Now you can see it's beginning to change to blue. Or maybe that's the purple. No, it's the blue. And I'm going to try to extrude this so that it doesn't stick together. This is a lot of clay to extrude. You can see it's gradually getting darker. Sorry, my hand is beginning to cramp a little bit. And it's beginning to turn a little purple. There we go, it's purple. If you hear those pops, that's where there's a little bit of air in the extruder. So there we go. Woo! So I probably should have put it on plastic so I could flip it, because I want to start with my white. So let me just flip it over. And I'm going to cut this let's see, maybe 5 inches. And I'm going to start stacking. Let me move it up there. And I'm just going to make sure that I keep everything in the order that it extruded out of my extruder. Try to be as gentle with this as you can. I'm just going to try to line these up to make them the same width. I'm not going to worry about measuring. And you see where these little squiggles are? Can you see these little squiggles? Like right here. That is where I paused in my, I didn't keep the rotation of my extruder the same, but all you need to do is just roll those out a little bit and they're fine. And I'll just keep this close. Hope I will remember to go back out. Whoops. Kind of rolled up on top of the other one. I didn't want it to do that. So I'll just rearrange them. And put them up next to each other, but don't press so hard that they will plop up on top of the other like I just did. Kind of go, oh yeah. And I believe that I've got these two reversed. Because one was a little bit wider than the other. And I've done it again. Let's see, this one I can move up a little bit. And you just keep doing this until you get to the end. So I'm going to stop the camera while I finish this. There's no sense in you having to look at it, and I'll be back. Okay, I finished, and it turned out a little bit wider than I was expecting. I probably should have cut it longer. I was afraid to cut it too long. I was thinking back when I learned this technique, and it's possible that I was supposed to measure the whole thing and then see how wide I wanted it and then do it that way. But this will work. This will just make a larger cane than what I was expecting. But the pretty part is in the middle, right? So let me see if I can get this see, there's one place that didn't get pushed together very well. So let me just take my blade . And just get these pushed together. Alright, and I'll just have to do it this way. I'll use a ruler. Except my rulers aren't... Yeah, here's one. See, my long rulers are in the other room because we use them to measure snow. So this is still about 5 inches, so I'm going to cut it at 2.5. And I'm going to pick it up. And rather than take a chance on messing it up, I'm just going to flip these over and lay it on top. See this section. And use your blade or an acrylic block or anything you've got that's straight. Because these are going to be, it's a round shape sitting on top of a round shape. So you want to make sure that you get that. This one, maybe I can flip this whole thing. And then this on top. Now I am going to trim this in now that I've got the one on top of it. And maybe that way I can at least show you a little bit of what the inside's going to look like. Isn't that cool? Let me get rid of my scrap. I ended up having to put all of my... I had so much scrap, all my bowls were full, so I put it into a shoebox. So let's see. So this is 2.5. So I'm going to want to cut this at 1. Well, actually, this ended up being 2.25. How did that happen? So I'll just cut there. This time I can pick the whole thing up, hopefully. And just stack it on top. Still comes apart right there in the center. The very ends might have to be trimmed off, but now let me pick it up and show you this in the middle. Is that not gorgeous? So let me trim it again in half. And stack on top. And always keep your purple colors on one end and your blue colors on the other end. There is my pretty cane. Now what I'm going to do, and it'll probably distort this a little bit, but I don't want it this wide. I only want it about 2.5 inches wide. So I'm going to just press it in from the ends. And I'm going to, well, actually turn it over and do the same thing on the other side, or you're going to end up with a wonky looking cane. Then take your roller and roll over it to make sure you're keeping all four sides straight. And then do it again till you get it the width that you want it. And make sure you push all the way down, not just from the ends. Let me get me an acrylic block. If you wonder where these acrylic blocks come from, they are just stamp blocks that you use for clear stamps. You square that up a little bit, square that up a little bit. And then roll it with your roller, not to make it longer, just to flatten it out. And just keep doing this until it's the width you want it. What I was thinking of doing is making a bracelet. I think it would be really pretty to make a bracelet, but it would be this wide, and I don't need a bracelet that wide. That's why I'm reducing it. And when you're doing this, and I didn't do it the last time, but you should always flip it over this way, because the pressure on one end is always different than the pressure you put on the other end. So this way it keeps it straight. And let's go a little bit more. Let me see what my widest bracelet form is. This is my widest. See how much wider it is than the bracelet form? See, I'm messing up this edge, but that'll just have to be my back side. And this end I'm doing okay with. This one I'm getting really wonky. So I'm losing the white on the end. And I don't know that I will make this into a bracelet. It may not be enough. But I wanted to show you how to make the cane. I think, you know, it turns out so pretty. Let me come in a little closer. Can you see where the little bit of black is in here, and in the white and in the black? I just love this. Let me just trim this awkward edge off. Let me get a sharper blade. I'll use the one I'm afraid of, my Lucy clay blade. Didn't cut quite enough off of it. There's still a little piece here that needs to be done, but look at that. Isn't that pretty? And it goes from my turquoise to my purple. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you make anything, if you make this cane and make something out of it, please show it to me. I have, you know, our Facebook page. that's linked below in the description, and you can always post it there. You know, just let me know if you make this cane and if you make something out of it. Let me see the different colors you use. I might go with a brighter purple and a brighter teal the next time. Instead of the turquoise, I might go with a teal. But I love this cane. So, hope everybody enjoyed this, and I will be back again soon with another polymer clay tutorial. Bye-bye. Okay, if this works out, this will be an addendum to the video I just finished on this cane. I'm going to try slicing it with my Lucy slicer and putting it on another sheet of clay. Now this is all of the other colors that I used in this bracelet mixed together. So, you know they'll go with the cane. And I'm going to slice very thin slices and see if I have enough to make a bracelet. If not, it may end up being something else. But I'm going to use my Lucy slicer, and you can see I'm wearing Kevlar gloves because I have really cut myself bad on this. But let me just slice the first slice and get that out of the way. See, there's that little hole I told you that I hadn't totally smoothed out. And just going to roll it up just a little bit. You see how thin this is sliced. I could never do that myself. I'm going to lay it on this clay. And I'm going to come up just a little bit more. Try to get it lined up. And I like to do this as I go along before it gets totally messed up. But just try to match up your seams as best you can. And you can see I'm making these very thin because I want to make as much out of this cane as I can. And I'm going to continue to do this until I can see how many pieces I can get off of this cane, and then I'll be back. Okay, I can't believe I got as many slices off of that I did. But now you can see why I like the Lucy slicer so much. Because there's no way I could ever have sliced this even half this thin or as straight. Now I'm just pushing these slices together where I didn't do such a good job as I was placing them on here. But I may end up, instead of making a cuff, I may make this into a big bangle. And And then I'm going to take this because, well, let me trim the blue off first. As you can see, it's not exactly the same all the way down. So I need to compress it a little bit if I want to get the white in there. But look, did I show you? I have this much left of that cane. And it wasn't much wider than that, so that's why I love my Lucy slicer. It was a huge, huge investment for me. Because you know I'm on a very tight budget. Of course, when I bought this, it wasn't quite as tight as it is now. But it was still a huge investment for me. But I have loved every minute of having it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my, let me get this up off the work surface first. Every time I pick it up, it pulls these seams apart. But I'm just going to start pulling in from each side just so I can hopefully keep some of this white on the end. You notice I'm putting this up against it and then pushing. That's making this edge really straight. Now let me see how straight I did this. Let me lay it straight on this line. And looks like it's a little high just in the middle over here. But I also have it there. Let me just press a little bit here in the center and a little bit there in the center, and I'll straighten my ends. And let me see, what do I have that is big enough for my wrist, which is like 8 inches, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. I think you could take a, let's see how big this is. This is a Pringles tin. Let me see how big around this is. I save things like this. Well, that's 9.5, so that's too big. So I need something a little smaller than a Pringles can. I used to have some baby food, some cans, but I don't seem to have those anymore. I really have cleaned out so much from this room. And it's got to be something that can go in the oven. Oh, here's a can. I thought I had saved one. That's about 8.25. I think that will work. First, I'm going to take my roller and just roll a little bit to make sure all these seams go together. And I think I just made this wider because I pressed a little harder than I expected to. I also need to back this on another color of clay. And I think I will probably go with the black. So let me condition this black and then we'll put it all together. Okay, I have rolled out some black on the thickest setting of the pasta machine. This is clay. Of course, you saw how thin I was slicing the slices, and it is on a number 3 setting. The blue, the purple, whatever you want to call it, was a number 3 setting. And I'll probably have to reattach these once I get it on the can. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this on top of this. And trim it off. Sorry, I got quiet. I'm just thinking to myself as I'm cutting. Alright, so there you see that it's on the black. I'm going to take this, and this is what I was thinking about. There should be a seam, maybe not. I don't work with cans that often. But I'm going to lay this around the can. And you see it's not going to meet, so it's going to be a cuff. But try to get it straight. Whoops. They don't make cans like they used to. Let me roll this again. After all this work, I don't want to mess it up. Let me press these together and then I'll roll it. Maybe it'll stick to the black clay and keep it together. Again, I'm trying not to stretch it, I'm just trying to heal these seams and get it attached to the black, so maybe the black will hold it together. And again, square up my ends. I don't like the flimsiness of the cans. But I'm going to try my best. I think I'll use this band here to keep it straight. And there's a few little places that need to be worked in, but you know, that's something that you can do once it's on the can. But I won't keep you here while I do that. But what I want to show you is now I'm going to going to use this at first to kind of roll up under, because I'm going to pull this down over the black. I don't care if a little bit of it shows, but I don't want this big streak of black. See this here, how that looks, and then here, how that looks. I think this looks a lot better. So you can use your hand, you can use anything to just kind of roll these edges a little bit. And try to get these seams together without smashing your can. But I'm just going to continue doing this. I'll be back before I put it in the oven so you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, I think I've got it on here. There's a few little seams that aren't totally healed. Well, they might be healed, but you can still see them. But I'm going to be putting resin on this. So I'm just straightening up the edges. Of course, you can do this afterwards. And let me show you what I did. I took a cutter that was the same width as my bracelet, and I pressed it on each end and made a rounded edge rather than a straight edge. I just like that better. You don't have to do that. That's just something that I chose to do. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and it is primo, so I'm going to bake it at 275 for an hour, and then I'm going to put resin on it, and then I'll be back. Alright, I have my bracelet out of the oven. I've just loosened it from the can, and it just slides right off. Glad I found that can. I didn't know I had it. You might want to run some sandpaper along the inside here, and I see one little crack that I didn't get sealed very well right here. And I would fill it with clay and rebake it, but it would mess up the design. But maybe that's what I should do. So let me see. I've got these pieces that I put in scrap just now. I don't know if I can, let's see. First, what I need to do is put a little bit of liquid clay. I'll just show you what I do when I try to fix something. I would take a little bit of liquid clay and press it down into those cracks. And just do it that way. I was going to add some clay. I was going to add some color to this liquid clay and put the other clay on top of it, but I think I'm going to just go with filling it with the liquid clay. And I may go ahead and put liquid clay over the whole thing. I'm going to sand the ends. There's some little sharp edges here from where I did it with my fingers. I'm going to sand those, and I think what I'll do is coat the whole thing. I've got it into the cracks, and then I think I'll coat the rest of the bracelet with the liquid clay and use my heat gun. So when I'm at that point, after I sand this a little bit, I will be back. Okay, so what I did is I poured a little bit of clear liquid poly clay. This is the Kato. into a little cup, and I keep a brush wrapped in plastic in my drawer that I only use for the liquid clay, because unless you add heat to it, it never dries. I think the bristles on this brush are a little bit long for what I want to do. But can you see right in there is where I've put the clay in the crack. So I'm going to take my heat gun. Let me get this out of the way. And I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm going to heat the clay. And it will go through different phases. It'll get kind of smoky looking and then it will turn clear. Now, I don't know if you can tell the difference in the color. I just want to make sure. I may need to put this back on the can because that's a little warm. Let me see what else I've got that's, because this will just conduct the heat, I'm sure. While I'm doing this, I'm going to add a little bit more clay. That brush wasn't putting it on very well. So I'm just going to use my finger. Now let's see how this works. Whoops, I see some that wasn't smoothed out down here at the end. I'll try to let you see the difference in the shading. I don't know if you can tell it or not. Can's getting hot too. I think now would be a good time for me to get out my Kevlar glove again, except it's a left-handed glove, a right, well maybe it could be either. See, I have a tool for everything. Now just right up through here has gotten cloudy. And now it's getting shiny. And it will shine to a high shine if you let it go through all of its stages. There you go. Can you see that? And it filled in this little crack, and it's clear now, but the crack is still there, but it's kind of clear. And there's something, now there's a coating of this on there that will keep it from getting any worse. And I'll just do the same thing all over the entire bracelet. And I'll be back when I'm finished with it. Okay, here is my wide bangle, and it is wide. It is just slightly over 2 inches wide, which is a little bit wider than I normally wear my bangles. I did not put resin on it since I used the liquid Kato, but you can see it still has a nice shiny finish to it from the Kato. So hope you enjoyed this. I know I did. I learned a little bit. I learned to make the cane not quite so long or wide. And let me wipe this up before I leave my room. I have a habit of finishing a video and then I just kind of get up and walk out. But there you go. This is the cane and this is the bracelet made with this technique. So hope you like it. I'll be back again soon. Bye-bye.